Hello and welcome back to the channel. Whether you are a college student aiming to ace your examinations or someone looking to improve their academic writing skills, you have come to the right place. Let's dive straight into some powerful tips that will definitely elevate your answer writing game to the next level. Let's get started. Firstly, we'll be discussing about the importance of writing a structured answer. So, why is structure important? A well organized answer helps us present our ideas very clearly, right? And also showcases our understanding of that topic, and definitely it leaves a lasting impression on the examiner, right? Because if I'm writing something very neatly in paragraphs, you will be feeling like even in this presentation, if I've written something in points, you are finding it good. If I write it everything jumbled up without breaking anything into paragraphs, you'll definitely find it much more confusing and tough to understand. So, more you make the work easier for the examiner, more happily he'll be giving you marks, right? And second point we come is understanding the question. So, all of us are in a hurry under the time pressure that we just read the question and we start writing. We fail to understand the meaning and the real depth of that question, right? So before we start writing, we should take a moment to understand the question. We should look for keywords, whether it's about comparing anything, comparing. I hope you all understand the word comparing, right? Contrasting, right? Or explaining it or discussing it. So you might be feeling, what's the difference? It's like सब में एक ही तो चीज लिखनी है. No, stop. There's a hell lot of a difference between these words, because यहीं पे the things, why do we feel like हम तो सब points लिख कर आए थे. The examiner doesn't need everything. I know there are 20 markers and 10 markers. For that you feel you have to write everything, but you need to write everything in a way, and this is the way. Whether you need to compare it, contrast it, explain it, or discuss it, there is a difference that the examiner is looking for. So you should break the question into parts to ensure you have addressed everything. So one must be mindful of the words and the word limit, as well as the expectations of the examiner who has set up that question. Word limit is one thing that you should practice before starting your exam itself. Like if you are getting a 18 mark question, for example, you should know that I need to fill up these many pages minimum. If you are getting extra time or you feel that you can write more, then you can fill up a half a sheet or one sheet extra. But don't feel that, if you know, don't get overwhelmed. I have said it previously as well, that don't rush in a flow that I know this answer very well, I can cover 5 to 10 pages in it, so I'll be only filling up this answer. Keep the word limits intact. Not Don't try that to become very good at one question only, and leave the rest questions in tiny bits, right? Okay, so planning before writing is, I would say, a must one should do. I know we are all in a rush into writing, but I would say just a minute, spend it to plan your answer. You should quickly outline your introduction, main body, and conclusion. At least you should. I know we don't have time in college examinations to write everything and make these points before writing, but I would say just make key points. That, for example, you have a question about describing anyone's character sketch, so just note down some points. I'll be using these five terms, because while we write answers we tend to forget the initial keywords that we have in our mind. If we tend to jot down them with pencil, or even at the back of our question paper, or anything, whatever is allowed, of course, in an examination, then we'll be writing a very good answer. Believe me on that, right? Start with a strong introduction. So I would say college professors or examiners don't have time to read an entire answers. So this is a very well known fact, we all know. An introduction and conclusion should be very, very well built. You should define all the key terms or concepts that you'll be using in your answers further. Or, and I would say, because you need to write lengthy answers especially, you should have the context and background that actually helps you to elaborate more on the main body. Because if you start writing everything character sketch kai, you start writing the character sketch in the introduction itself, then it's what will you be writing in the main body, and what will you be writing further in the conclusion? Keep these key terms, concepts, context, and background for your introduction, right? Tell what your answer will be focusing on, whatever answer or thesis you're writing, right? Develop the main body. Now, this is where you explain your ideas in detail, right? It should be very clear and concise and distinct paragraphs. I would say you should, there's a margin, right? This is, if this is your answer sheet, there is a margin. So you should begin your answers leaving some space. Pe- After writing this, you should leave a line when you change a paragraph. So these are very basic things I'm talking about. You all have done these in your school essays and everything, but you forget it while writing answers in hurry. But these things are must. Why I'm saying must? Because presentation does make a difference. When a professor or examiner corrects the copies, what makes your examination sheet stand out is these little points, whether you have left some lines, whether you're leaving some space or not, right? Okay. Now, using of clear and simple language. Now, your language should be simple and direct. You should not write everything in using heavy adjectives and vocab. Keep your ideas simple, but don't oversimplify complex ideas at the same time. I don't want you to confused confuse between both of things. It's not a paradox that I'm talking about. What I mean is, your language should be simple and direct, as in direct speech also. Don't write that they said. If you're quoting someone, as in if you're quoting a political theorist, then write that so and so political theorist said, comma, and in the next line write that. Don't write quotes or political theorist things in running sentences, right? And make sure you use technical terms. Also, make sure that you underline all the technical terms that you are using, right? Okay. Crafting a conclusive ending. I already stated while I was telling you about introduction that wrap up your answers effectively with strong conclusion. You need to summarize. The key point here is summarizing the main points that you have already discussed in your main body, right? Also, add some new information in the conclusion. If you strike up with some new ideas, you tend to add it up, right, in the conclusion, which is very wrong. That makes the examiner clear think that he that was a good point though, but he hasn't added up it in the main body. You should definitely avoid it. Revise and proofread. Okay, so this is one thing that college examinations most of us lack because there is no time left. I would suggest here is, while you attempt one question, while you move on to the other question, before moving on to the second question, you should definitely recheck first one. I don't mean to jump back to it, but while you're writing your answers, make sure you are underlining the keywords then and there itself, right? Okay, you need to manage your time very effectively, because the paper is generally of 2 to 3 hours depending upon whatever college you are in. So time and marks should be allocated. You should know 10 marker के लिए इतना time रखना है, 20 marker के लिए इतना time रखना है. Try, I would say again, try to save some time for revision, because without revision we can't recheck our mistakes properly. We need to revise to be thorough with our own answers, right? Okay, practicing regularly. I have added this point, although most of us lack this thing because there is no time. But I would say at least solve PYQs. At least day before the examination, try to solve PYQs. If not the whole paper, just pick up if from part A is one or two questions, part B one or two questions, try at least two to three questions in a timed condition, I would say. Don't just write about them. Try to time your answers and analyze at how much time you're taking for a particular marker question, right? Okay, and try if you can take feedbacks from your professors. So, final thought of the day is writing great answers isn't about knowing the content, it's more about presenting it in the best way possible. With practice and these steps, you can surely excel in your examinations. I wish you all the very best for your college exams. And I know you all can do very well if you follow such certain tips and practice it along with. Thank you so much.